I think if we look back to when the session started, we started off with a very weak text, draft text for the Paris Agreement, and we can say there's been progress in the sense of adding very important elements which could still save an ambitious outcome in Paris. But on the other hand, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. This text has to become much shorter, etc. So it's still a lot of work ahead until Paris. We have seen progress in some issues. For example, there's been a lot of attention here to addressing human rights in the context of the Paris Agreement, and there are very good options on the table which could make it a core part of the legally binding instrument. There's been hardly any progress on loss and damage, so really how to deal with the climate impact that cannot be avoided. There are very polarized positions, but we are still hopeful that Paris will have something meaningful in there. And finally, one of the other key issues on climate finance, so supporting vulnerable countries in addressing climate change, we have seen hardly any progress, and the developing countries made a very strong stand here that this is a central part of Paris outcome, and the ministers and heads of states which will have further discussions really need to focus also on finance for the time when this agreement comes into force. I think there are some clear milestones. In 2 weeks from now, a couple of ministers will meet in Paris for the so-called pre-COP, and they will look at what has come out of this session and what are the key political points, sticking points they have to work on. And then at the first day of Paris, there's also a meeting of heads of state. So these two meetings need to clear out some of the key issues and some of the controversies, and then the negotiators can still work out a very reasonable and forward-looking Paris Agreement, but we know there's a lot of work that needs to be done and a lot of bridges to be built.